Okay, that was nervous. All right, hello everybody. My name is Carrow Brown. I am an urban fantasy author. I'm also the executive assistant over at the LaterPress, and you are in time for the monthly, quarterly plan with me, which is where I get together with other people and pretend like my life isn't in shambles. So, hi, thanks for coming.
Carrow is one of the most organized people I've met in my entire life, and she still calls it shambles.
It is. It really is. Like, it doesn't really seem to matter how well I like structure things, but you know,
It
if
really
it looks
does,
good,
does it?
no, but if it looks good on the outside, then I guess we're doing it well. But
No, you're doing something right. Let me tell
yeah.
you.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and introduce ourselves. We have some more folks that are trickling in. So, as I said, my name is Carrow Brown, and this is the planning stream. I am the executive assistant over at the Riververse. I have a master's in psychology with a focus on industry organizational psychology, which means that my job is to get into your head and figure out how to make you more productive at work and make sure that you're happy while doing so. It's a lot more complicated than people like to think. So because of that, I spend a lot of time studying about how to be productive, the different methods that work for various individuals, because plot twist, one way doesn't work for everybody. So that's what I spend a lot of time doing. Anyway, now my co-host can introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Carrow's friend Amy. We've been friends for like 6 years now. I am a certified SEO consultant. I also do web design. And I am in the beginning stages of launching my own creative agency called Starberry Atelier. I started in February, and part of what I'm doing on the street today is trying to better plan how to finish the launching that business, because I have a lot of domestic demands, a lot of client demands, and my own demands, for my own mental health and education. So my big thing is I go really quickly in all directions and I end up getting nowhere in relation to my goals. So I'm here today to reset my business and work goals and make sure that it's working with my personal stuffs. So thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. So unlike my other plan with me is where we basically plan out the month, we're actually going to be taking a look at 3 months today. So I have a semi-workshop that we'll be doing, because I find a lot of people who come to these forget how to plan. And when I say some people, I'm really talking about me. So this is more for my benefit than for you guys. But it's one of those things that every time I do something, I always like the minor refresher before we dive into that. So 3 months have gone by, Amy.
I know. Gosh. I blinked and the month of February was over. February was crazy for me, personally and professionally. Mm-hmm. So, and Carrow and I, not to be too personal, but Carrow and I both have some really good and really bad things that are the anniversaries of it in the month of February. So personally, professionally, February didn't happen for me. I blinked and it was like March 7th and oh God, what happened?
I was like, because we had
Funny Phil, where did he go?
It was crazy because like over at the Ripverse, we were planning for the Yaira release, and then we were also planning to go over to MegaCon in Florida. Mm-hmm. And it was just like at some point, like I usually like to do weekly planning, but like in January it was daily planning, because I was like, I can't plan for next week. I can only plan for the following day at this point. There was just so much that was going on. And one of the things that I actually ended up switching to, much to Amy's delight, is I switched to ClickUp to help me track all my project management stuff. I know, you're so happy.
I know. I feel so vindicated. Yeah. I've been advocating for ClickUp for years. Like literally the 3 years that I've been like, ooh, Carrow and Sky both have been resistant. And now.
Well, it's because they have that doc feature in there now. Like the moment I saw they had a doc feature, I was like, okay, we can look at using this. Yeah. So
yeah, Google is sunsetting their Jamboards, and ClickUp. I have no idea if in the industry this was intentional or not, but around the same time that Google announced they were going to sunset their Jamboards, ClickUp figured out how to put that in there. So you have the big whiteboard feature and the docs feature. And now I have the paid version. It's the cheapest paid version, but it's still the paid one. So I forget what I have access to that other people don't. But now they have fancy dashboards. So I can like tell it what information I want to see right off the bat.
Nice. Yeah, I'm still learning all those nuances, but we're not here to talk about ClickUp as much as I know you want to. So we're going to go ahead and start planning for the next 3 months. That's kind of what we're doing here. So what I want to do before we dive into doing all of that is I want to talk about a model that you guys can use to help kind of do the balance for your life. So this is referred to as the Level 10 Life. It was made by Hal Edrod, if I am saying their name right. I never am. So, but this model has to do with looking at these 10 different aspects of your life and then kind of working your goals towards them in order to help you have like a better work-life balance and keeping things going kosher. So this one is a little different than the one that Hal has. I find everybody who does the Level 10 Life does it a little bit differently. But for example, I have romance and home put in together because, you know, my romance is kind of tied to my home since my husband and I have been married for so long. So I have those things together. But the one thing that I made all on its own, let me see, I'm taking a look here. If I can remember. I don't know which one I added. I think it was
I think you added fun and play, didn't you?
maybe I know fun and play and leisure was already on there. I think it was actually the personal development stuff, but don't quote me on that because even this example on here doesn't have them all. But anyway, so it's looking at these different aspects of your life and kind of giving yourself a rating system on where you are with them at this particular moment. So 1 being worst, 10 being the best one, right? So how do you feel about your health and fitness, mental health, spiritual health, romance, home, your personal development? Personal development leans more on like how you develop yourself as a person. So like, are you reading on the regular? How are you mentally challenging yourself? All that good jazz. Career and education, I tied those two together because I feel like professional development is tied to the career. So in my brain, it didn't make sense to separate them. But if you are a college student, it would make sense to actually separate them in that way. So there's that. Finances, which I always never seem to get past 5. It's always like 1 or 3 at the very most. But friends and family, spending time with those important relationships that you have in your life. Fun and play, which is giving yourself that leisure time. And giving back. And giving back is, think of it like donating time or charity work at that point. So it's, I guess, being giving. The easiest way to do it. So what I'd like to do, and unfortunately I can't share the timer because StreamYard is gay and lame and will only let me share one screen at a time. So what I'm going to do is set up this 5-minute timer for us to go ahead and reflect on how we were in these various different areas or whichever ones that you want to rate. And you don't have to share what you feel like the rating is. If you want to, that's fine. I will be going over mine because that just seems the fair thing to do. But we'll spend that 5 minutes going over these 10 areas or however many that you want to do, and then we will come back and share. And I'm stalling because I forgot how finicky this timer is. All right. So we'll go ahead and start doing that in 3, 2, 1, and I will talk to you guys in 5. Okay, that was time. So I will go ahead and use myself as the guinea pig for rating how I did in these various areas. So this is where I am currently on a 1 out of 10. So with my home and romance, I gave myself a 6, career is a 5, health is a 7, family and friends is a 5, giving is a 4, spiritual is a 5, finance is a 3, fun and games is 3, mental health is 5, say with a long sigh, professional development is an 8. So it's not exactly where I wanted to be at this point, but I had a lot that was going on. So one of the things that I wanted to focus on with my career is I wanted to focus a bit more on networking and updating my resume. And I didn't actually update my resume because 2 reasons. One, I didn't have any major updates to really put on there. And then the other thing is that the updates that I did have, I didn't want to go post them in various places because I was worried it was going to be like a spoiler for stuff that we were doing at work. So I was kind of holding off on that. But we're past that point now, so I can go back to updating that. My friends and family, I didn't do as well as I would have liked to. I dropped the ball a little bit when it comes out to mailing a weekly card to my friends and family. So I did it like 3 times. I've done it 3 times in the last 13 weeks. So that was me. The giving, again, I was struggling with because it had to do with the weekly writing streams. And I gave myself 1 ounce of forgiveness because 1 I missed because I was in Orlando and I didn't have a mean to stream that Sunday. And then the second time it was just because it was the IRA release and I just didn't have the mental faculties for it. So, and then the journaling I struggled with because I am finding out that I really suck at journaling. I'm really bad at it. And what I mean by that is that I originally set up like a whole system in order for me to actually use my journal, but then there became like a friction point to it. And I ended up like not wanting to write in my journal because it was too much work, which is not how it's supposed to go. But yeah, so those are my current accountability areas and how I did from the start of the year. So now I'm going to pick on you, Amy. Maybe. No, I lost Amy.
I'm here. Sorry. I forgot to unmute myself. That explains why you didn't hear what I said. Anyways, I have slightly different level 10s. For the most part, I did, when Carrow did this stream at the beginning of the year, I did my own version of them. And my only real difference is that my personal stuff I kind of clustered together, and I broke apart my home stuff. Because me and my boyfriend have our home stuff that we're starting to work towards. And I also have, I live with my family. So I have a homestead where I have just a ton of responsibilities. So my home life is actually broken into 2 levels. And my personal stuff is all clumped into 1. And that's where I fail the hard. I give myself like a 2 out of my personal, which is my mental health. My mental health is okay. I feel good about it. Like the last months were crazy, but it wasn't crazy in a way that had a negative effect on my mood. Like I still feel good, even though I didn't do what I wanted to do. So my mental health is okay, but my spiritual and my personal development just down the crapper. Like I'm so frustrated and I didn't put any effort towards any of that. I did good on my home life stuff though, my domestics on both of my home fronts. I think I'm at like a 5 if I give myself a little bit of grace, 6s, because I did make progress in both of those domestic areas and really good progress. But, those are 2 things that take up a lot of my time, and I wanted to make more progress so that I could make more time for the other part of my level 10s, which is my 4 career related sections. And I have giving back, finance, career / business, and professional development, which is studying, trying to get more certifications, all that kind of stuff. They did okay. I made progress, but like just a tiny bit. And as I said earlier, the thing that just gets put to the back burner is always myself. And so my own business is the thing that made almost no progress. Like I said, and I go fast in all directions and end up going nowhere. So everything gets to like 85% done, and then we move on to the next task. Huge flaw in mine. So all in all, my personal, anything related to me, low numbers. House, medium numbers. Business, medium numbers. That's my recap.
All right, cool. So then we can move on to, you had a lot going on though. Like, I don't want to talk about like your personal stuff, but like you had a lot happen.
Oh yeah, huge transition for the whole homestead. Like,
Yeah.
the whole dynamic is different now, and I made it through all of that, which was nice. But like I said, did almost nothing for my business, and that was the exchange I had to make. So thankfully, now that hurdle is over with, I can restructure my time and pursue my business.
Now, just be kind to yourself. I know every time you have big changes like that, it's hard to get back in the groove.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and start planning the things that we'd like to get done, and we're kind of working with the macro idea and then moving into the micro. But I think it's really important that we consider like these different areas in our life and how we want to focus on them prior to like getting lost in the weeds of like little tiny projects that we have going on. And I know some people's projects are a lot bigger than that, but again, we're talking about work-life balance and all that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give us a 10-minute timer for us to work on these various areas and what we'd like to do on that. And then I will provide my own example. Now, if you guys would like to share what it is that you're working on for all of this, then please feel free to. If not, Amy and I will share, and then we'll move on to the next slide. So let me find that timer again. Sneaky timer. Let's see. And then we're going to change it from 5 to 10. Nope. Why'd you start? Every time I think I understand technology, it just changes on me, and then I'm sitting here completely lost. Okay. Scroll up. Settings. 10 minutes. All right. So again, 10 minutes for us to figure out how we'd like to balance all of these things, and then we'll come back, share, move on. It'll be good. So we'll start this timer in 3, 2, 1, and we will talk to you guys in 10. All right, my timer went off, so we're done. Surprise! Welcome back. All right, how did you do? What did you do? Tell me how you guys decided to plan out these 10 areas of your life. I am going to take down this banner because it's hiding my luscious face here. So my goal, I'll go over mine as a model. I guess we'll call it that. So I want to take my home romance from a 6 to a 7. I want to do the same stuff I was kind of doing before, only I want to add in the occasional love note to Mr. Brown on occasion. I like to scatter them throughout the house, but I haven't done one for a while, so I want to do that again. And then the big home thing, though, is that I have been in this house for almost 9 months and my gym is not set up. So I'm going to go ahead and spend next week actually getting my home gym in order. And then I'm also going to figure out what the heck to do with this walk-in closet that I have, because I've never had a walk-in closet before. And all I've really done is just like thrown stuff on the floor, and it's not doing me any good. So there's that. Career-wise, I am going to actually update my resume now that we've done everything. I'm going to network with one more person in my industry. I'm going to finish this current ghostwriting project that I've had going on since the start of the year. I have a RIM account, which is kind of like a subscription account for people that want like access to early stories before they go out. So that's going to go from 5 to 6. Health, I'm going to up, but the way I'm actually going to up is I'm going to focus on my feet, which I know that sounds kind of weird, but I've been doing a lot of research on, because I have plantar fasciitis a lot. And I've also got a little bit of hip pain. And so I've been trying to figure out what to do that doesn't involve pharmaceuticals, because that's not my favorite thing to do. And so one area that I'm exploring, it's called the bare feet movement, or the barefoot movement. And that's about working with shoes that don't overcompensate for the way that your foot naturally is. So I'm going to be doing that to see if I can figure that out. And then there's going to be meal planning. I'm in the process of doing a challenge called the 75-Day Hard. That's going to be done when I think on June 1st. So I'm 21 days into it so far, and we're sticking to it. Family and friends, I'm going to stick to texting everybody on a weekly basis. I'm going to go back to sending my cards. I'm going to remember birthdays, because I've forgotten everybody's birthday again this year. Great.
Yeah, it's only the winter people. It's only the January through March people.
It was only 6 people. And then I'm going to see if I can stick to my weekly writing streams, because that is part of my giving back thing. I give that time for you guys, so that way we can write together and make progress on your projects. And then I'm going to keep working on my crocheting hats. So what I do is I crochet scarves and hats, and I donate them to charity at the end of the year. Spiritual, I put join a community. I should change that to be active in the community. And then I'm going to work on the daily readings. Finances, this is my big one. I actually want to see if I can make $10 a month on my Kindle. So seeing if I can make $10 worth of sales on that front. So it's really big, but I can comfortably make 5 when I want to do it. So I want to be uncomfortable and try and see if I can hit 10. Fun games, that's just playing video games, watching anime. No big thing there. I have found a journal method that does not make me upset, so I'm going to see if I can stick to that for 3 months. And then one thing I'm actually going to add is disconnecting. So like I'm going to be unable to be found by everybody at least one day a week. So I'm just going to completely disconnect from technology and the internet. I'm going to go sit in the backyard with my dogs and stuff like that. And then personal professional development, I'm going to read at least still 1 book a week. And then I'm going to find educational videos about how to do things I don't know how to do on Skillshare. So that was a lot of talking about me. Amy, make it less awkward to talk about you.
Now it's my turn to talk about myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, okay. So like I said, my level 10s are a little bit different, but very close. I did model mine after yours. I gave myself, for my health and physical and fitness, a 3. My goal to get it to a 4 is just to actually start making time for it. If I can actually manage to just wedge that into my schedule, I will consider that progress, because I've got all the research and all the things, and I know what works for me. I just don't do it. Speaking of works for me, when I had plantar fasciitis, I did the roller. I just have a piece of 3-inch PVC pipe. It's about 1 foot long, and I rolled my foot on it. It cleared it up in like a month. So might
I
be
tried
the-
that with the tennis ball.
Oh no, not the tennis ball, because the tennis ball is a point. Like it's a soft point, but it's still 1 point. And
I mean like a foam roller kind of thing.
yeah. Mine is just a straight up piece of PVC pipe.
Oh, maybe I'll try that too.
So
But yeah, no, I've heard.
worth a shot.
Anyway, keep talking about you. We're not talking about my feet right now.
Spiritual, mental, and personal development. I gave myself 3. Like I said, I'm always the first thing that goes off. My mental health, like I said, I did okay with all the demands and everything, but I also know that I did okay because things didn't go terribly wrong. It's just that I was full throttle, but I was making progress on everything. So I'm going to overlap that one with my next one. Home and garden is my domestics. That's my next category. And I gave myself a 6 out of that because I love to garden and it really helps with my mental health and my spiritual parts of it. So my plan to get my 3 to a 4 is actually to keep having fun working on my next category, which is my domestics, home and garden. So let myself keep gardening because I do find myself like some of my favorite things are things that just kind of take up time and I don't do them. And so go ahead and do the fun gardening stuff too, just as much as the like productivity to make sure that my vegetable garden is growing like it should and all that kind of thing. I'm okay with my 6 in my domestics, which is my homestead. To get it to a 7, I'm not really sure what to do, but my goal is spring cleaning. Spring cleaning is always fun when you have animals and all that stuff because you got to move pens and blah, blah, blah. So the only thing I'm going to try to focus on for my domestics to advance it is just to make sure I actually do a good job spring cleaning. Whatever that ends up looking like, I'll figure it out at the time. But that's my big goal is to actually do the, A to Z spring cleaning. I'll feel like I've made progress enough to give myself a 7 if I do that. Professional development and education, I gave myself a 5. I think I'm okay. I've got a lot of stuff going on. To get it to a 6, I just want to actually finish like 2 of the things I'm involved in. If I can just finish 2 out of the 11, I'll feel like I did something. Giving back, I give myself a 7. Because I actually volunteer with 2 different organizations that I met through Catch a Fire, and I still do the work for them. I maintain the websites and social media for one, and I'm building out websites for the other one. So a 7, I feel like, is a pretty good number considering I've put a lot of my time just free work for them and do a lot. So I'm not worried about advancing that number, especially if it takes up too much more time. Finance, I have as a 5. My goal is going to be to actually organize my savings. Like now that I have my business, I have business accounts, I have personal accounts, I have savings in personal, I have savings in business. I need to actually iron out all of where my money is actually going, not just so much budgeting, but make sure that I have a clear structure in my head. Because it's not hard for me to budget to go, okay, I only have $80. Here's my priorities. We'll see if there's anything left afterwards. But I do forget that I have personal and professional, and I have professional business things that are going to be future expenses that I need to allot for, and that's separate from savings. And so just to get a better structure of where my money can go, so that I can have all that ironed out before my business advances any further. Career and business, all in all, I feel like I'm doing okay. I gave myself a 7 there. Like the one thing I'm not doing is building my own business, but I do have clients. I do get new clients. I do, make progress in some of my client work and stuff like that. And some of these are people that I've been helping for years. And, I do the marketing for one whole business. I do all of their marketing. So I'm okay with that number. Like I'm saying, if I need to change that number to build my own business, that's probably what it is. If I can just make time for building my agency, I'll consider that good enough to up that number. Fun and play. Again, I just love to garden. So just letting myself be outside. I gave myself a 4 in that one. Um, I will call it a win. 5 if I can just go ahead and keep gardening, move all my plants that are in the house outside, and start my springtime stuff. So much of my springtime revolves around my house plants. Friends and family, I gave myself a 5. I check in with my friends pretty regularly, but I do make plans and then not keep them, or just completely lose track of what day it is. And, I miss birthdays and stuff like that too. So I have a list of things that I want to do for my friends, and I'm just going to try to do one per week. One thing for a friend per week, not one for each friend each week. But if I can make it through the list of ideas that I have, I'll consider that a win. And then my level 10 is my building my home stuff with my boyfriend. And that's really just a lot of planning and research for both of us right now. My big thing that I'm realizing that I need to do to make all of this move forward is I have to actually start delegating some of this stuff. I have to actually start being like, hey, if we are building our homestead stuff, that means you're responsible for this and not helping with that anymore. So I feel like if I can figure out how to do that, then pretty much all these numbers that I'm concerned about are going to go up, because that core issue is that there's so many demands in so many areas for me that if I can lessen my demands, I feel like I'll make progress. So that's my big plan, to try to do all those little steps in those different areas. Ta-da! I talked about myself for 5 minutes.
You did it! Yay! I don't have a clappy sound, I'm sorry. So again, if that's something that you all want to share as well, you're welcome to. If you don't want to, then please don't feel pressured to. But now that we've done that, we're moving on. So how will you accomplish these goals? Now, Amy knows I have a love-hate relationship with SMART goals. I love them because they work, and I hate them because nobody will shut up about them. So it's like an oversaturated topic that drives me nuts. But the benefit of it is the fact that you're actually taking these things that you want to do and you're trying to make it a realistic thing that you can do within your means. And also really holding yourself accountable to all the details that are involved with it, right? So it's really easy for somebody to say I'm going to write a book this quarter. Okay, so how are you going to write a book this quarter? Are you going to write a book by writing 2,000 words a day? Are you taking into account weekends? Do you have family stuff? You really need to kind of focus on those aspects of it. And then the other thing is, can you make something that's attainable? Now, I've had a couple of writing sprint streams where I've had very adventurous souls join us, and they'll make claims about how they're going to write 100,000 words in a month. Now, is that attainable? It really depends on you, right? But for that particular person, it wasn't. They were just wanting to run around and basically say they were going to write 100,000 words. So it wasn't attainable for them, and also wasn't realistic, because one of the things that ended up happening is that they didn't take their depression into account. They also didn't take their family situation into account either. And when you have children, they take up time, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And then making sure that you're having some kind of timeline for how you want to do it. So for me, whenever I make writing goals, I always have it how many words per day am I going to write and which days am I not writing? So those are the two things that I like to take into account. Now, for what we're doing, I have 3 examples up here for your guys' consideration, and gals, or however you identify. If you're a raptor, I salute you. So one example that I've got here is I will be fit in quarter 2 by working out 6 days a week, twice a day, to build up my endurance and strength. I'm already doing that. I've been doing it for the last 20 days, so I know it's possible for me to do it. So, it's not like I'm saying I'm going to run 20 miles every day, which I can't do. The other example is I'm going to work on my foot health by walking in barefoot shoes for 30 to 50 minutes a day. Again, I can already do that. I have been doing it, so that's realistic, and it's working towards that particular goal. And then I will give to others by crocheting 1 hat a week to donate at the end of the year. I can make a hat in a day, so if I give myself the week, it's going to get done. I can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
my relationship with SMART goals is, I find them to be very, very useful, but I do not think that most instructors or people who are don't forget your SMART goals, are honest about how hard it is to actually make a SMART goal.
Mm-hmm.
And my thing has always been, and from experience, is you can set a goal, realize, okay, there's 3 stages to this goal. The first stage, I have to do this. The second stage, this. The third stage, this. And you think you've made a SMART goal, all the way up to it being time bound. And the more you work at something, the more you realize that, okay, it's 3 stages and there's 5 tasks. There's 5 parts to that stage. Well, guess what? There's 5 parts to each of those 5 parts, to each of those 1 stages. And they fail to tell you that when you actually start trying to make them specific and measurable, what you think is like a 12 steps that you're going to go through actually ends up being 30. And you have to be able, you have to have some kind of organizational system in place to catch those 30 steps. Personally, that's what made me fall in love with ClickUp, because of the way ClickUp lets you do levels to each task. That's when I was like, oh, hallelujah. It helped me actually make these SMART goals and actually be able to add information where I need it, when I need it. And that's something they don't tell you. Like, I don't, maybe I'm undereducated on SMART goals, because once I understood the concept, I just moved on with it. Maybe there are people out there who do it, but you need to have a way to expand with all the details and these little tasks, because all these little tasks end up influencing your last step, which is time bound. That's the one I really, really struggle with. I can be specific, measurable, attainable, and realistic, but when you actually ask me to set a permanent done by time and date, that's always the first thing that goes out the window for me, because I need flexibility. And that's where a few of my clients that I've tried to actually like walk them through setting up their marketing and stuff like that, time bound is the hardest one to enforce. If it's not, we're all adults here, so we all know, like, when you got to pay your bills, the things that you have to do to pursue paying your bills, they move up the list of priority, regardless of how well you planned out your SMART goals. So give yourself some grace with the time bound. It makes the whole system a lot easier, and be ready to catch all of those little tasks, because, like personally, when I tried to write a book, the first part of it was the brainstorming for me, ideas and characters and all that stuff. The second part was the actually writing it. And the third part was going back in and working on editing. And, I tried to do a little bit of each. I'm an amateur in all ways in that particular niche. But I was freaking amazed at how many little steps there actually was in that third phase of trying to finesse everything. Had no idea. And trying to find a way to be able to adjust your goals and keep that big visual. Once you realize that what you thought was 12 steps is actually 30, that always derails everybody that I've seen, and myself, with SMART goals.
Yeah, I mean, that's just educating yourself about what it is that you're doing and what work actually goes into it. And sometimes we just want to figure that out through experience. So yeah. All right. So I don't know why I put 5 minutes on here.
Oh, and after running my mouth, my SMART goals, mine is just going to be, like I touched on, figuring out what to delegate to who. That's going to be my next advancement in my SMART goal planning.
Good luck. You're like me. I don't like to let stuff go.
I really don't.
No. So we're moving further into the actual planning part of this. We've been having our lecture moments, but we're getting there. We're getting there. So the one thing I do want to kind of harp in is that when you guys, or when anybody is looking at wanting to do any kind of planning, to do the planning and the workload, like, you're going to be like throwing up in the toilet for like all morning, feeling miserable all day. And the reason I say that is because whenever the new year shows up, or we've got the new quarter and stuff like that, we get like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and like, I'm going to do all the things and I'm going to get all this stuff done and I'm going to be a superhero with all my productivity and shit. And then we get into like week 3 and we hate life. So, and that happens really frequently, like to the point where I've sat down with people who are trying to make plans going forward. And I'll be like, this is a lot that you have going on. It's like, oh yeah, it'll be fine. And I'll be like, I think you should cut your workload in half, right? Like I always tell them, I'm just frankly honest with folks about it. And
Yeah.
sometimes they listen and sometimes they'll cut it in half after 3 weeks. So again, think about everything that you want to get done. And again, is it realistic? Is it attainable for you? And if you're kind of like, I'm just going to push through it and be a stubborn motherfucker and just kind of get there through the sheer will of my mind, please don't be that person. Like, just don't. Just don't.
Oh gosh.
That leads
That
you
was
into this.
me, remember? Carrow and
That
I
was all of us.
She knows I was the no. You can have my projects when you pry them out of my cold dead hands. Now I'm like, well, that's got to go. Carrow was right. Cut it in half.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah. No, I've had that conversation with at least once with everybody I know at some point. Be like, I know you have like big ambition, but I need you to calm down a little bit. So we'll go ahead and start working on the monthly planning stuff of the stream. We're going to give ourselves 10 minutes to find like those big items that we have kind of possibly lurking somewhere on the horizon. And so those big items are going to have to do with any event that you have going on. So if you are a streamer, like when are your streams happening? How much time is that taking up? Are there any birthdays that you need to track? And if there are birthdays, do you have to send them a card? Like how soon do you have to send the card? Carrow's tip for me to you is to send the card 5 days before the birthday, because at least it might arrive on time. And then you can kind of outline the big things that you would like to get done, in those 3 months, right? So, for example, my big things that I would like to get done is that I would like to be done with book 2 of the ghostwriting project in April. I would like to be done with the book 3 of the ghostwriting project in May. And then I can start editing. There's the key phrase there, start editing in June. Not be done editing in June, just start editing, because it's a labor of love there. But we'll go ahead and we're going to spend 10 minutes doing that. So let me pull up my handy dandy timer so that way we can make sure that we're doing this. Okay, I got it. Gonna start, gonna do that. All right, so again, it's just 10 minutes to go through all the stuff that you've got going on this month and then just putting it either on a calendar or a piece of paper. There's no wrong way to do this. If you're a sticky note person, do sticky notes. If you're a Google Calendar person, that's fine. Do that too. But you got 10 minutes to figure this out. So we will start this in 3, 2, 1, and I will talk to you guys in 10. It is time. What did you do? How did you do? I still haven't found all these birthdays yet. Let's see. I found your birthday.
Yes, and I am in Q2.
Yes, you are. And if I remember right, you just take that whole week off.
I usually do, yeah. We'll see in June how it looks, but that's my thing.
And then, okay, there's only one more birthday. Okay, I'm almost done. I don't know what it is about everybody that I know, but like May is like nothing but like a birthday almost like every third day. I'm like, what's happening here?
Oh, wow. Really?
So that's the 27th for him. Okay. I always send this one friend a birthday card, and he's kind of like, there's a card in the mail for me. Okay. I did it! Yay! How'd that go for you?
Oh, not great. I have a list. I have my Google Calendar updated with all the birthdays and bills and all of the like actually time things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of just I tried looking at some of my client deadlines, but yeah, not great. I did work, so I'm gonna call that a win. But I did plan, but really I was just looking at everything. Everything's already organized. I just have to, when the time comes, it's actually time to look at April, plan April. So.
I made sure to get all the dates for the Dallas Star hockey game.
Whoa.
That's my new passion, violence on ice. Been a little too into it, but it's good. I like it.
Yeah, hockey is. I like it a lot too. I actually like hockey and baseball, both of them, for opposite reasons. But
yeah,
it's fun when you're into it.
Oh, it was just so good because I went to interview one of the hockey players, and like this was like my first introduction to hockey, and like half his teeth were missing. He just had no fucks to give, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, no joke. Some of them, I mean, they look how you would expect them to look. They really do.
Yeah. All right, so now we get to move into the weekly planning aspect. And what I mean by weekly planning, I mean like you're not going to plan all 13 weeks. That's not realistic, especially given how much goes into everybody's individual lives. So before we have a little bit of time to figure out maybe next week so we can get a feel for it, I do want to go over a couple of things. And again, these are things that I love to talk about with folks when it comes to planning because we forget them. So I want to talk about how when you are planning your day, to not plan around your tasks, but to plan around your energy. So if you've got certain tasks that require a certain level of energy, find when you have that level of energy and put those particular tasks in that spot. So for me, my high energy is between 5 a.m. and kind of 10. I give myself a little bit of a break there. And during that high energy time, that's when I'm working on my ghostwriting stuff. That's when I'm working out. That's when I am really diving into like my boss's emails and like, divvying them out and asking questions and things like that. My moderate energy, work has finally caught on to this, but my moderate energy is when I tend to schedule meetings, right? Because they don't need like my 110% attention all the time. And it's a little bit easier for me to manage. So I try to schedule all the meetings or like the less physically active things that need to go on there. And then
smart.
Yeah. And low energy, that's when like we're talking like minimum output for me. So that's when I'm either like, I might be able to take notes at the very least. I'm going to be very tired. I'm always very tired between like 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. That's when like the 2 o'clock snooze hits me. And it's not because of food. It's just because that's when like I've hit like my cap of what I have in the tank and it's all gone at that point. And let's see, what was the other thing? That's also a great time to ask me for things because I'm just going to say okay and not think about it. So
nope,
yeah, I just told you all how to take advantage of me. So between 1 and 4.
My thing is about 7 o'clock at night. My physical energy throughout the day, my mental energy is completely dependent on my physical energy because of my health and some of my issues. Mm-hmm. So my mental energy, like if I have a high physical day, I have a low mental day. If I have a low mental day, I don't even try to do physical.
Yeah.
My big cap is after about 7 p.m. in the evening, I'm useless. I'm done.
Mhm.
Don't try to do evening streams, evening meetings. Like after
Well, yeah,
7 o'clock, I just clock out. I've got no more spell slots for the day.
yeah. Well, I mean, you've been there when I've had to do like those late night streams, right?
Mhm.
And I'm kind of, they're like, hey, you want to be more engaging? I'm like, no, I didn't even want to be
I
here.
don't.
There's I think the one exception to this is probably, so there's one stream, there's 2 streams actually, because I had another group that invited me, but it's like a crocheting knitting group, right? And so it's like it's like where you just kind of sit there and like, shoot the shit, but you're like making doilies and stuff. So like that I have energy for, but like anything that involves like a lot of cognitive effort, like the struggle bus will be there. I was on a stream last night. Before I went on the stream, I chugged like an entire Black Rifle coffee can because that was the only way I was going to get through it. That was it.
No, after like 7 for me, I got nothing, to the point
Yeah.
where like it frustrates my family, where I'm like, no, shut up. I'm watching TV and I'm playing Gardenscapes. That's all I've got for the next 2 hours before bedtime. We're done for the day.
So, but it's like, so circling back to what, I'm trying to talk about, and I forgot because squirrel. But so I said when my high energy is like, are you like, I keep thinking you're a midday energy person though.
Like I said, it really depends on what I put my body through physically. Like on days where I know I'm going to be gardening and I get up and I do that first thing in the morning before the sun comes over the trees. Because I live down in a valley, so I've got until about 9:30 to not be in the direct sun. On those days, my physical energy is earlier in the morning, but like mostly through the winter and stuff like that, my physical energy is in the afternoon because it's warmer.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I just try to do mental versus physical and don't try to schedule them both on the same day. I don't really have a time of day. I just have 2 fields.
Yeah.
Not expertise, 2 fields of demands. So yeah, time of day not so much for me. It's mental versus physical.
Okay, a little different then. All right, my mouse has decided to not work. This is exciting. Let's see if I can still, no, come on, why did this have to happen right now?
I bet you need to replace your battery.
I bet you're right. Absolutely right.
Replacing the battery on my mouse drives me nuts.
Wow, I literally can't do anything.
Uh-oh. Can you go to the next slide on the keyboard and stall while you find a battery?
Nope.
Uh-oh.
Because my tab that's active is StreamYard.
Uh-oh. Sounds like we're taking a battery break.
Yeah, it's, oh wait, hold on. We're in luck. It's got a charge cable.
Ha!
Okay, let's see if that works. Maybe? Oh, come on. What's happening right now? It's off. Now it's on. Really love being here with you guys like this.
You got this.
Oh my goodness. I'd like to think I do. Now this isn't charging either. This is embarrassing. I'm really sorry, guys.
Do you have a whole nother mouse handy, maybe? Like one that plugs in a drawer?
No. Let's try that. Nope, that didn't work either. Fuck it, we do it live! Oh, this is not my favorite. Okay. Wireless. Okay, that's not it. Alright, guys. I apologize. I'm trying to figure out why this is happening right now. But that's okay. Tell me more about what you guys have planned while I'm sitting here trying to figure this out.
I was just reading what you have on the screen. Plan your day for your energy, not your tasks. And I learned a lot when I actually started doing, like you said, plan for low energy. Plan for low energy. And I found that if you can plan for low energy, you actually get so much more done. Like, I used to do that constantly, make big lists and all that kind of stuff. And over the last like year or so that I've been listening to you and your advice more, I've transitioned over from trying to have these huge lists and burn my way through the list to actually just allotting for a certain amount of demand at one time. Plan for my low energy. Say I'm only going to make 5 tasks. What are those 5 tasks going to be? And then pulling from that master list. And that helps me a lot with weekly planning, which is the topic that we're on. I try to look at my priorities because I have different timelines for clients and, you know, priorities of things that like have to happen, like jury duty. If you can't get out of it, you have to plan for it. And stuff like that. So when I do my weekly planning, I try to still make time for the low energy, and I just pick out the things that have to do that are priorities, and then I schedule around them. And keeping the list small and account for low energy and scheduling around the absolutely have to do things is my key for weekly planning. Yeah, we got to change in spring.
Yeah, I just had to do the alt tab thing, which I'm not really a fan of. So ending this stream is going to be interesting. But you know, we're not there yet. We're just going to carry on. All right, so we were talking about planning for energy. Now we're going to talk about task management and priorities. So thank you for tap dancing for me, by the way. Really
priorities. Ha! I remembered the priority thing was coming up.
Yes, yeah. Okay, so a couple of things that when it comes to trying to figure out what tasks you should be doing, because I know some people get like decision fatigue and cognitive overload when they start giving themselves a lot of things to do. So here's an easy way to look at it. It's called the Eisenhower decision-making matrix when it comes to like working with your decision-making process for tasks. If it is important and it's urgent, do it right now. Don't fuck around. Just get it done. Just knock it off, move on with life. If it is important but it's not urgent, schedule a time to do it. So again, when I do my writing in the morning, it's urgent, or rather it's important, it's not urgent, so I schedule like an hour a day to knock that out versus having to do it right now. If it's urgent but it's not important and you can delegate it, ask somebody else to do it. There's no shame in it. Just ask somebody else to do it. If it's not important and it's not urgent, do you really have to do it? And if the answer is no, well,
maybe you should let it go.
You should let it go. Yeah. So that's really the easy way to kind of go over that. There's like, you can find video essay on video essay on video essay about the Eisenhower matrix, but this is the quick and dirty of it. So on that note, now we're going to go ahead and okay, good thing this mic. Sorry, I was just realized I don't have the means to mute myself on StreamYard. But that's okay. I'm going to use the timer on my phone because that's how we roll here. So what we're going to do is we're going to spend 10 minutes going over kind of how your average next week would look. So what time do you want to work on something? You know, are you going to be planning, you know, your high maintenance task for when you have high energy? You're going to try and finagle it for a time that works better for you, so on and so forth. I can't even shrink ourselves. So that part that you guys can't see on the very bottom that's hidden by Amy and our avatar body things there is, it says that for your task priorities, so like those things that obviously, you know, do it right now, it's urgent, you only have 1 hour to do it. Right, that's it. It needs to be done in an hour. No dicking around, not beating around the bush. Get it done in an hour. So let's go ahead and practice that with next week. How that would look for you. Can't believe my mouse died. What the fuck? All right, pulling up my clock. All right, so we're gonna spend 10 minutes doing that. So I'm getting my timer out. I'm hitting the timer button, setting the timer. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start this timer, and we will be back in 10 minutes, starting in 3, 2, 1. I will talk to you guys in 10 minutes. Okay, that was time. Feel free to share what you did, how you did, and all your planning endeavors. My mouse still doesn't work. It's great. I love it.
Some gremlin style shenanigans you got
Yeah,
there.
you sent them, didn't you?
I know, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I'll never escape them. I am the gremlin dancer.
Yeah. You know, I don't know if I told you this, but I've actually switched to a digital planner.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I'll have to tell you about it because I was kind of like, man, what am I going to do if my stylist dies too? Like, I was having that moment. Okay. So what I did was, oh, you know what? I'm about to throw a curveball at you, Amy. Are you ready?
Okay.
I'm taking next week off from work.
I think that might only be the third time I've heard you say that in the last 6 years.
Yeah.
What is it about this next week that's so special?
Nothing. Work told me to take
just ready
time
for
off.
some disconnect?
No, work told me to take the week off.
Work told you to.
Yeah. They're like, you need to take some time off. I was like, okay, I guess I will. Okay, fine. So next week I'm going to be working mostly like on writing only in the morning, and then I'm going to be doing like the manual chores in the afternoon. So getting the closet figured out and the gym done. And the other thing is that the one thing I forgot about is that like the solar eclipse is tomorrow. So now I'm like moving all like these little blocks around on my planner, being like, okay, so maybe not right there.
Yeah.
So tell me about you.
My thing was just I made a list of the things that I want to do weekly. When I went through, I looked at my 10 different areas, and I do have like 1, 2, 3 things in each of these areas that I want to do weekly. So I just spent that time making a list of those things. That way I basically just so that I have that checklist that I can refer back to when I actually start making my weekly plans. So that took up my 10 minutes.
I love it. I pretty much got 3 days planned. That was pretty much it. But that was just me trying to take into account again all the stuff that I've got to do. So that was fun. All right, let's see what else we got. Oh, hey, it's time for more planning. Yay! So how much time do we got left? We got a half hour left. So this half hour is pretty much going to be the mic is live, and we're going to bullshit and talk about planners and stuff while we go ahead and do this. But it's still slightly structured.
Okay.
So, I lied. I guess we're not done doing everything I wanted to do. So we're going to brain dump first. So what I'm sorry. I'm so frazzled about the fact that my mouse stopped working. It's like really bothering me.
You're doing great.
Can't take it. First world basic bitch problems, I know. But so what I'd like to do is like we obviously have like a list of things that we all want to get done, right? And we kind of like, had a hierarchy of how we wanted to do it. So what I'd like to do is just spend 10 minutes just like everything that you have to get done, no matter how trivial it, like at some point today I have to do the laundry, right? So just take out whatever writing or typing utensil that you have and just start making a list of everything that you have to do. And then we're going to use that list after the 10 minutes. So again, it's just a brain dump. You're going to get everything out of here onto something that you can see, and then we're going to go from there. And we're going to spend 10 minutes doing that. So let me know if you are ready to do that, Amy.
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, cool. So we are going to go ahead and start this in 3, 2, 1, and I'm going to see if I can find a mouse that works doing this at the same time. So we're starting this now. Go. All right, everybody, that is time. And the good news is that I found a mouse that works. Yay! Fun. All right.
Minutes are going by so fast.
Yeah, because we're not really like pussyfooting around, right?
I know, right?
Like, we got shit to do.
I got shit to do.
Yeah. So, how much brain dumping did you get done?
I started out doing good, and as I'm looking at it right now, it ended up just being a bunch of domestic stuffs.
I mean,
so
that
I've
counts.
got house stuff on the brain.
Yeah, that counts. Don't dismiss it.
Yeah. Like, it's finally warmer, and I need to start putting away the winter stuff. Like the stuff, it's April. There's no way I'm going to need that coat again. So, like, stuff like that just popped up in my brain, and I realized, like, the whole second half of the list is spring cleaning related stuff, because that's what I've been talking about with my family and everything for the last 2 days. So, it ended up being mostly a domestic thing, but I did get some overall weekly other areas of life tasks on there, so we'll see what I can schedule.
I wrote all kinds of crazy shit on here.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What's your craziest task?
I wanted to start another blog.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Are you prepared to disclose the nature of this particular blog?
Comic book craft. That's what I wanted to do. Because I've got one blog already, and that's just writing crafts. That's like really diving into like story beats and stuff like that. But comic book craft is actually similar but completely different. So like pacing wise, it's just completely like it's a lot tighter. Anyway, so the reason I wanted to do it was because I find I have like a lot of similar conversations about stuff, and when I try and like go and see if I can find it somewhere out there, it's like nowhere to be found, right? So I thought I would start a blog on it. But like for me to want to do that, I have to be comfortable with leaving my other blog alone for a little while. So I was also drafting up 13 weeks worth of content ideas. So I did that. I did some of my back-end admin stuff. Obviously, there's the ghostwriting. There's the home gym in the closet I already talked about today. I want to schedule out some of my social media outreach posts ahead of time. And then I put in that I have another client that is scheduled that I'm to work with in August. And the reason I put that down is because if something happens in July and somebody's kind of like, hey, can I work with you? My first response would be like, yeah, I like money. But then I've also got somebody already booked in August. So I'm like having to put reminders, like, don't take anybody for at least like after this point. So
cool.
Yeah.
Oh, totally derailed personal comment. I have an action plan for that project that you and I are talking about for that one surprise person.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, remind me to tell you that after the stream.
Okay, good, because they forgot, and that's fine.
Cool.
So we can do that later. All right, but I'm not done. I normally give myself like probably a half hour to do all my brain dumping, so 10 minutes was really pushing it there for me. Okay, cool. So now we'll move on to the next phase, and that is going to be part 2, which is the prioritizing. So now that I have my mouse, I can do this. Okay, there we go. Yay, it worked. So what I want you guys to do, if you have your list in front of you or you mentally calculated it or however you chose to do so, is I want you to identify these 2 different things. So if it's a piece of paper, circle the things that you want to do and then square the things that you have to do, right? So, for example, I have to do laundry. I don't want to do laundry. I hate laundry. It's like my most despised chore in this entire house, along with dishes, but it has to get done, right? But if I also had something that I wanted to do that also has to get done, right, then I probably need to prioritize that because I'm more likely to get it done. So, for example, something on here. So the blog, for example, that I talked about, I actually want to do the blog and I have to do the blog in my brain because that also involves like author branding and reach and content and stuff like that. So I'm going to prioritize doing that over, something else. Like, what do I have on here? Social media post drafting. Yeah, I don't want to do that. I have to. I don't want to. So
I have, I've been sticking to a formula for a couple of my clients, and it's really, really working for me.
Okay.
And I'm about to start doing my own stuff, obviously, and I have to do me, and I have to do my business. I don't have to do me, but it helps. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do it because I'm realizing it's just like, a website designer who doesn't have a website. It's one of those things. I've got to do it so that people don't look at me and go,
Who told you something like that? Who spent 2 years?
I don't know.
I don't know who that was. Was that? Man, I feel like we know who that person is.
I feel like you're stretching on that one. You're reaching for the stars.
2 years.
Yes. Well, now I have an agency that builds websites. So you win. You win. You were right the whole time. We've talked about it. I know. But social media is now the same thing. Now that I'm branching into more design and marketing, I need to be able to say, well, did you see the social media from my agency? Well, there you go. That's what we should be doing for yours. Blah, blah, blah. So I have to do it. And the formula's been working really well for some of my clients, but I'm about to turn it over to myself. So
fantastic. Well, then let's spend 5 minutes just doing all of that together. So look at this. I've got my timer back. It's wonderful. Okay.
So what we want to do and what we have to do, and what is both.
Okay. So we'll do that for 5 minutes, and then I think after that we're done for the most part. So I'm going to go ahead and start this timer in 3, 2, 1, and I will talk to you in 5 minutes. Okay, that was 5 minutes. So let's share. As much as I wanted the author blog to be the big thing, obviously it's the client work that is going to do more, mostly because that's what pays my bills. Yay!
That's what I always come back to when it's personal versus professional. Like, I've got all these plans for me helping me, and about 75% of my time goes into me helping clients because I got bills to pay. I found I only had 5 things that I both circled and squared.
Okay.
So, I think that's, and 3 of them, when I went back and I looked in my ClickUp, I have them at like medium level priority, because one of the things that ClickUp lets you do is you can assign priority to them. It's like urgent, high, medium, and low. And, that's one of my go-to like filters, because one of the things I'm terrible about is I will do what's more pressing over what's more important, over what's a higher priority. And so, like, if somebody's like, hey, I need, can you help me with this? Can I do it right now? I'm compelled to make time for it right now, even if I really should be doing something else. And so I moved those other 3 up to like urgent priority so that they'll show up in my ClickUp and I'll see them more frequently as I'm planning out my stuff. So that was all I had time for in that 5 minutes. I blinked and it was over. That's
what happens when we're planning. All right, fast forwards, and then we wonder why we didn't get anything.
I know, right?
All right, so now we've done it.
Woo! Congratulations, everybody.
We did it. We kind of got our lives together, mostly. I feel like I just made myself like another to-do list of things. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, so I definitely feel like more, I have a better idea of like how to plan going forward and what it is that I need to prioritize. So there's that. And then that curveball of not working next week is still kind of screwing with my brain a little bit, but that's fine. It's okay.
I'm sure you'll find a way to Carrow your domestics anyways.
You're not wrong. I probably will. That's how I do here. But I think, let's see.
I've been trying to channel my inner Carrow. I know I've joked about it with you for the last couple of months, but I'm about at the point now where I'm like, I just need Carrow to hold my hand and overlook my list with me and tell me I did it right. But I'm persevering.
That's always tricky because, like, there's been a couple of times where people are like, I just need you to help me be organized. I'm always sitting here, and it's like, I could tell you what to do, but then, like, you'll have a tantrum.
Yeah. I know you and I have talked about, when you dabbled in being a life coach there for a little while. At the end of the day, the people want to be told how to fix things, and they don't want to be in charge of or responsible for any of the effort that it actually takes to fix those things.
Yeah.
So a lot of people who pursue life coaches are mistakenly just pursuing a therapist.
Well, yeah, they really are, because that was not that, here, I guess we can turn this off for now. Not that though. Okay. But like, I did get like the certification in life coaching because that was just seemed like the next step in like, my professional development. And like, I think every week we had to touch on the fact of like, you are not a psychologist. You should not be giving psychology advice. And like,
and you actually have a degree that very strongly has to do with what's that? Psychology?
Yeah,
I do. A psychologist.
Yeah, but it also turns into like, even though I have the master's in psychology, you have to have like the state level license as well. And so every state it's kind of like teaching where it's all like at a different level and volunteer hours and stuff like that. The thing that drives me crazy about social workers, teachers, psychologists, and doctors is that at some point they all want you to work for free for 2 years.
Yeah. It stopped me from pursuing teaching. When I was like, I don't want to put that much time into getting to the point where I can actually count on this as an income avenue for me to build the other areas of my life. And ultimately I chose not to for other reasons, but that was one that nagged at me constantly. That's a lot of my time to get to do something that, like, there's a lot of idiots who manage to get that teaching degree, and they, like, those people manage to do it, but you expect me to do it for free when I could be doing a better job at what they're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
It was hard for me to swallow, so I didn't pursue it anymore.
I just, like, and when I talked to my advisor about it, they were kind of like, well, just take out more student loans. And I was like, no, that's not the answer. Like,
oh man, I was lucky. I dodged all the student loan stuff. Everything that I did was like certifications where I was able to just save money, pay, and be done with it.
I didn't.
I do not envy you, my friend. That's a big financial burden to carry for a long time.
I mean, it depends on like how responsible you are with like your finances. Like one of my plans that I have that I didn't really want to share was kind of like how to pay that back a little bit faster, right? But I've met some people who pay off like their student loans in like 3 years because they're frugal with like their funds and everything like that. But I also have met people that their solution to how to cope with like their student loans was to just keep going to college.
Yeah, it blows my mind that that's a legitimate way to approach this thing, and it just makes no sense.
Yeah, she had her doctorate. That was the thing. And then so she had her doctorate, and somebody else I know has their doctorate as well. And the guy who got his doctorate, like, he was supposed to be like super hireable and a very sought after person because that's what they promised him. And nobody wanted to hire him because he's got a doctorate.
I wonder what his calendar looks like. How are you scheduling your shit, dude?
I have no idea. And then the lady that is still going to college classes, I asked her why she was doing that. And she was like, well, if I start paying off my student loans right now, it'll be twice my mortgage. And I mean, like, and it's not like paying another mortgage. It's like her mortgage times 2. Mm-hmm. So she's just like, and I just don't have that money. So I'm going to keep going to school. And then, you know, I told her, it's like, you know, you're not going to get your Social Security if you still have like, you know, pending student loans. And she's like, nobody's getting Social Security when we all hit that age. And I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm not counting on it either.
Yeah.
The way our current economic climate is going, I'm like, oof, I better have some low physical demand, something lined up by the time I get to that age.
Yeah, well, that was like a hot topic in the news this week where they were discussing like, oh, it's dumb, and they're hiding stuff in bills that they're trying to pass in order to like finagle more money out of it. And it's just, you know, it's getting to the point where it's like people are like, I don't want to pay money into it if it's not going to be there, which I mean, I think makes complete sense. But
totally.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm not a salacious channel that talks about hot topic events like that, so we should probably wrap up and close out. So you're my guest, Amy. Would you like to go first?
Yes. I am your friend, obviously, hence why we talk about all this life stuff. I'm happy to be your friend. It enriches my life very much. I did pretty good today. I knew it was just going to be a sit down and recap because, like, my first quarter of the year, like I said, it was 90 miles an hour for like a good 6 out of the 12 weeks. And I knew I didn't get done what I wanted to get done. So my approach is just to try to recap everything and get another look at what I got going on. I definitely feel like I accomplished that. I like this little guide thing we had here. So I think you did a great job. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for making time to come and make our lives less on fire. It was great. So again, if you did not know who I am, my name is Carrow Brown. I'm an urban fantasy author. I'm also the executive assistant over at the LaterPress, and I came here to get my life on track. And I think it might be there. I'm not going to lie, though. I'm probably going to spend the rest of the day finishing this planning. So,
oh, lucky you. I immediately have to get off and go do adult stuff.
No.
I wish I could hang out and just keep playing with my pencils and pens.
Well, I mean, I'm all digital now, so that's going to be exciting. I'll let you know how that goes. Yeah. So at the beginning, next week it will be a write with me. It will not be a plan with me. So if you came here to get words done, they will get done next week. So that will be on Sunday at 2 p.m. CST. If you want to join me in the writing, I will be here. So I'm trying to think. Is there anything else?
Are you going to do another quarterly stream like this in June?
Probably.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think that's it for you for the moment.
Yeah, I'm pretty bored
next week. So when everybody goes to look for you, you won't be there.
I won't be there. I'll be offline. You can't find me. You're not gonna find me. All right, I'm gonna start waving at the camera. Thank you guys for coming to hang out. Sorry I did not highlight your names and greet you individually. I normally do that,
Happy
but today was
planning,
not that
everyone.
day. Yeah. So, but I'm gonna hit the button. I'm going to confirm. I'm gonna